Alright, if we're doing another episode on Mario, there's definitely something we have to get out of the way first, okay? Because it's a bit of a controversial subject. Nintendo likes to think that Mario is not a plumber. They tried to erase it from his identity, pretend he's never existed. That was never a thing. It totally doesn't come from his origin story or anything like that. That's not why there's pipes everywhere. He's just an Italian superhero. I'm not even sure if they want him to be Italian still. But they contradicted themselves. Because in Super Mario Odyssey, Bowser refers to Mario as Plumber Boy. So yeah, Mario's a plumber, alright? We need to get that out of the way right now. He will always be a plumber. There is nothing wrong with being a plumber. They are very hardworking. So what if their butt shows a little bit? That's because it reminds you what they're there to fix. Your pooping place. You should be grateful for them. You should be grateful that Mario is a plumber because plumbers deserve respect too. That has nothing to do with the rest of this episode. It's just something I needed to get off my chest. So thank you for watching Hardy's Backlog. Let's get started. Everyone's favorite plumber, oh look at that, it did come up again, Nintendo, also wears many other hats in the Mushroom Kingdom. He's a construction worker, he's a doctor, he's a soccer player, but most of the time he's a parkourist. Parkourinite? What are they called? But today he's just a normal dude on a normal adventure who's also kind of a celebrity, but maybe not a celebrity. I'm not really sure. They never really draw the lines exactly on what Mario's fame level here is. He's just a guy in Super Mario RPG, Legend of the Seven Stars. Looking back on the history of the Mario games, Super Mario RPG, Legend of the Seven Stars, it's probably going to be the last time I say the whole name, might be one of the most important Mario games in the entire franchise history. Not only was it really the first major game to establish Mario as something besides just a platformer, it's also the first time, to my knowledge, that a major Mario game has been handled by any company besides Nintendo. This is something so rare, we really wouldn't see it on this scale again until frickin' Ubisoft and the Rabbids invaded Mario. Seriously, how did that game turn out to be good? That blows my mind. The frickin' bunny minions in a good game with Mario with a gun. But yes, Super Mario RPG, Legend of the Seven Stars, it's a fun name to say, was developed by Square, who'd later go on to become Square Enix, developers of series like Final Fantasy and Kingdom Hearts, which means yes, there is yet another link between Mario and Sora. Put him in Smash already! Obviously the collab with Square worked out pretty well, as this was the first Mario RPG game, but it definitely wasn't the last, and it actually split off into two different branches, being the Paper Mario series and the Mario and Luigi series. We'll be taking a look at the Paper Mario series going forward, but hopefully we'll get to the Mario and Luigi series someday as well. However, both of those series did continue without Square. Why did the relationship suffer between the two and Nintendo decide to develop themselves? I'm not really sure. I'm sure there's answers out there if you want to take a good enough look. But what's now Square Enix and Nintendo are definitely at least on good terms again, with Cloud being in Smash Bros. As well as all the Final Fantasy games coming to Nintendo Switch now. So maybe this opens a window for a true Mario RPG 2. Who knows? But if there is the demand for Mario RPG 2, it meant that Mario RPG 1 had to be something pretty special. Well, let's take a look. Alright guys, get this. Bowser kidnaps Peach. Wait a minute. Did we do this before? Bowser kidnaps Peach. Who saw that one coming? Huh. Mario is alerted of this disaster that totally has never happened before, runs off to Bowser's castle to save the day. You end up fighting him on top of a giant chandelier? Not the Pokemon, unfortunately. Also, I have no idea why they're up here. Of all places they could have chosen to have their epic battle. But yeah, you beat Bowser, he actually just falls to his death, and the game's over. Credits roll. Thanks for playing. Alright, yes, there's a bit more, of course. After you beat Bowser, a giant frickin' sword falls from the sky and crashes into the castle, knocking Mario way off into oblivion, and who knows what happened to Peach. I should say this now, I'm gonna keep saying Peach. Her name is technically Toadstool, Princess Toadstool still in this game. She's not named Peach until Mario 64, which I believe came out a year or so after this, maybe even less than that. I can't say Toadstool, I've known her as Peach literally my entire life. I mean, I didn't know about... Toadstool was named Peach like 2 years after I was born, so not literally my entire life, but the existence in which I've been aware of the existence of existing in the existence of Mario, where I existed, she's been Peach. So I'm gonna say Peach throughout this. I'm sorry if you hate that. I'm gonna say Peach. She's Peach, alright? It's like, you look at Dr. Robotnik, that's still frickin' Eggman, okay? So we head back over to the castle to find out what happened to Peach, but it turns out this giant sword can actually talk. It actually belongs to the Smithy Gang, a weird collective of bad guys who plan on taking over the entire world. They destroyed a bridge to Bowser's castle, and there's not really much we can do now. Mario informs the Chancellor of the Mushroom Kingdom what's going on, and surprise, surprise, we're tasked with saving a day, and our adventure begins. Now, I'm not really sure how much to mention here. I'm always a bit perplexed during these like non-spoiler part of the story reviews, because I just want to give you an idea of what's going on in the game, the basic plot of the game, but there are certain things I'm going to have to cover in the gameplay review that will spoil stuff later on, for example, party members. Moving forward, I'd be curious to know what your guys' opinion is on how much of a game should be spoiled in a non-spoiler section. I know some places will do like what they consider the first 20% of the game, so you don't spoil a majority of it, but it's enough to give you an idea of what's going on, introduce you to the characters, stuff like that. It's hard to say. It almost maybe should be different for every game. You know, what about a game that doesn't really have a story at all? Can you spoil? Like a sports game. I'm probably never going to cover a sports game on here, unless you consider skateboarding sports. That may happen someday. But like, if you're just like a football game, can you spoil a football game? I'm not sure. Unfortunately for this review, the star of this game, Super Mario RPG, is the story and the writing. So for this section, I'm not really going to cover a ton about it because I absolutely highly recommend you play this game for yourself. It is so phenomenal. Well, we're not going to get too far into the review, but the story is definitely a gem. Of course, there is a ton more to Super Mario RPG Legend of the Seven Stars. Why is that so much fun to say? I don't know, you put like flair in it, like Legend of the Seven Stars! Oh, they're Dragon Balls. Maybe I could actually get through a sentence now. I'm already 10 minutes into this recording, this is ridiculous. But of course, there's a ton more to the game, so let's take a look at the actual gameplay portion of it. Super Mario RPG follows the basic turn-based strategies of RPGs. I mean, this is from the company that makes Final Fantasy after all. So if you've played RPGs before, especially turn-based ones like Pokemon, this is going to feel very familiar to you. In your battles, you'll face a variety of enemies using a variety of different attacks with Mario and up to 2 party members. And unfortunately, for the sake of this actual gameplay review, I do feel like I have to spoil the party members here. Most of them, at this point, the game's been out for 20 years, are probably pretty common knowledge. I mean, just look at the box art. I just wanted to say that now in case anyone for some reason got upset that I maybe mentioned that, hey, this character's playable. It's going to be really hard to go through this review without talking about these characters. So Mario's partners include staples to the series you would expect, like Bowser and Peach, no Luigi, surprisingly, as well as 2 complete newcomers to the series being the Tadpole Mallow and Geno. Now, I'm sure that a lot of you are very familiar with who Geno is. If anything, you've at least seen his picture before. He is a very, very highly requested character for Smash Bros. And you know what? It very well may happen with Smash Ultimate. As of this recording, he's not been announced yet, but you never know what's coming. But here's a pretty controversial opinion as someone who just finished this game. I don't think Geno would be a very good character for Smash. In fact, I think there's a much better character, and it's Mallow. Now, as we'll get into it, Mallow doesn't have exactly the most endearing personality, but he does have a lot of characterizations, and his moveset seems like he'd be much more fit for Smash Bros. He has super stretchy arms, he uses a variety of different items like symbols, he uses magical attacks like snow and thunder. It would just be a lot cool. I mean, Geno's just like, I'm a puppet, pew. Mallow has a wide range of things that he does in character and just so much bigger pool that you can pull from there. So, a lot of you probably hate me right now because Geno's one of the most requested Smash Bros. Characters of all time. But I'm Team Mallow for Smash. Is anyone still watching? Did you guys all leave? Well, moving on with the review, I do get annoyed sometimes by the whole 3 characters per battle thing because eventually your entire party will consist of 5 characters. And Mario can never be switched out, so really you just have 2 slots to fill between the 4 characters. It is helped a bit by the fact that even if you're not actively participating with a certain party member, they will still gain experience and level up, so you don't have to worry about anyone getting left behind. However, They all fill pretty different roles, and it's always a struggle for me to decide who's best to bring. However, towards the end of the game, I really just kind of focused on Mario, Bowser, and Peach because Mario and Bowser just hit really freaking hard, and Peach is almost indestructible at the later half of the game and can heal everybody. I guess that is a good chance to talk a bit more specifically about the characters. Peach is a very support-heavy character. Mallow is a nice mix of support as well as magical attacks. He doesn't do as good with the physical attacks. Bowser, from my experience, is a lot more just physical, like, I'm gonna punch something. And then Geno is a mix of physical and special attacks with a tiny bit of support. And of course, Mario, just like in Smash Bros, is really just kind of the neutral at everything. He's good at magical, he's good at physical. I don't think Mario actually has any support moves, but who cares? The game features a mix of world traveling, dungeon crawling, and of course battling. Visiting the towns is fun, battling of course is usually engaging. I really did not like the dungeon crawling though. I usually didn't find the dungeons very well designed. A lot of the puzzles in there were just frustrating and not very easy to solve, and not unlike the, oh, this is challenging, more of like the, oh, this is stupid way. But there's only maybe 2 or 3 actual dungeons throughout the entire game, so it's not something you're going to encounter a lot. But one thing you will encounter a lot is the battles. The order everyone attacks in the battles seems to be based off the speed stat, although this isn't always the case, as certain enemies will be allowed to attack twice within a certain cycle. I assume this is a balancing thing to make sure that they actually output enough damage and you don't just steamroll them, but again, a lot of the stuff is never really explained. As mentioned a bit earlier, each party member has a variety of different kind of attacks they can do, from spells, special attacks, physical attacks. They can also defend, which I think makes them take less damage next turn. I almost never took advantage of that though. All the playable characters in game and most of the enemies can do physical timed attacks. These are pretty generic attacks that get upgraded to be more powerful depending on what items you equip to your party members. They also have a timing function where if you press attack at the correct time, you'll do extra damage. It does work the opposite way as well, where if an enemy attacks you with a timed attack, you can press the attack button at just the right moment to take a little bit less damage. There are also special attacks that enemies can use. For example, Mario of course can use fireballs, Mallow can use thunder and snow attacks, Peach, I don't know what Peach does. She heals. Geno shoots things. These don't really have the time functions, they just kind of do a certain amount, although sometimes they do have special inputs, like for Mario it's mash Y, I believe Bowser spin the control stick, stuff like that. Some of the attacks do also have attributes, kind of like Pokemon, like fire, thunder, and ice, and certain enemies are weak or strong against certain attributes. Although there's not really any kind of in-game recognition about this, so unless you really pay attention to your damage numbers, you're not really going to know that. Of course, there are also defensive magical attacks you can do. Peach and Mallow are very good at healing up your party members. Peach, in fact, can actually revive downed enemies, so that's a very important thing you'll want to remember for later. But using these special attacks will use your flower points, a special kind of currency, I guess you can say, showing you how many magical attacks you can do at a time. You start off with a pretty small amount of only 10 flower points, so it's not a ton, but you're able to upgrade them pretty frequently through items you receive in the game, and you can recover them using items as well. There are also a bunch of other items you can use throughout the game, including obviously HP healing items, the flower point healing items, stuff to remove status effects, certain things that affect enemies, although I almost never actually ended up using those, as well as equipables. Each party member has certain items that can be equipped to them, usually different kinds of clothes that raise up their stats or give them different attacks they can do when they use their timed attack. Like you would kind of expect in an RPG, the further you get in the game, the more powerful items you're going to get to equipped. Always check by the shop when you get to a new town, because you'll never know what you find there. Going back to the special attacks though, this might be a good time to talk about some of the visual effects in this game. They're not good. A lot of the special moves you see don't really make sense, or they're just very generic. None of them really look that good, or a lot of them don't sound that good either. It's really unfortunate that in a Mario game, which usually is full of personality, a lot of the attacks are very basic. In fact, if you're sensitive to flashing lights or have issues with epilepsy, you want to be really careful playing this original game because they do have a lot of strobe light effects. It's something that was so bad that in the Virtual Console release, they actually had to go back and change a lot of those effects or slow them down just out of risk of epilepsy seizures. So if you are sensitive to light at all, I'll do my best to keep those out of this video. Just be careful. Just to kind of show you the moves though and how kind of like they are, I did make this little montage for you, so here you guys go. Yeah, unfortunately that kind of generic RPG thing is really a frequent in this game. I mean, you have your staple Mario enemies like Goombas, Bomb-Ombs, Koopas, stuff like that, but then you also got these random enemies that have never been seen again. They don't really think they pulled from the Mario world. They're just, yeah, kind of like the special attacks. They all just feel really generic. A lot of them visually don't look that good either. There are definitely certain parts of this game that have not aged that well. The sprites look fine, especially the party members. They're very passable, decent sprites. But some of the special effects, and especially when they try to do some 3D stuff, just is not very good. A majority of the game is passable, you know? It's not anything I'd have huge complaints about, but it definitely has its moments. Like, what the hell is that? Is that a fish? Is that a shark? Is that a woman? I have no freaking idea what that's supposed to be. It's terrifying me. The audio of the game is very much the same. It's passable. I like some of the music tracks. The battle themes definitely stick out to me, but there's only like 3 or 4 of them is the problem. I don't know if this was system limitations causing them not to have more tracks, but with the amount of battles you do, they just keep repeating over and over and over, and it starts to lose its charm after a while. There were many times when I would just mute the game audio and like watch some videos in the background just so I can kind of zone out, just because I was tired of hearing the same tracks over and over and over again. And I would definitely say repetitive is probably one of the good ways to describe this game. You go to many different towns and locations throughout this world. You battle a lot of different enemies, but in the end they all just really kind of feel the same. Thankfully, and I'm very grateful for this, the game does not use a random encounter system for its battles. You can choose when to enter battle with someone, and oh my gosh, I'm so happy about that. And for the most part, I didn't have an issue with grinding at all. That's something I was very worried about early on, because after battles, you do receive a certain amount of coins and experience, causing your characters to level up. I had no idea what level I should be for most of the game. Thankfully, whenever you get a new party member, they come at the level I guess the game expects you to be at that point, and I was almost always at that level, or at least one level below at that point as well, so very happy for that. But a lot of the battles, especially during certain parts where it's just back-to-back battles, ended up feeling more like a chore and not a fun game experience. My playthrough of Super Mario RPG lasted a little over 17 hours, just a few minutes over, and according to Time to Beat, which is an amazing website, the average playthrough is usually about 16 hours and 53 minutes, so I was incredibly close on that. It's actually crazy how accurate that website is sometimes. I always take a look there before I start a game just so I get an idea, and it's usually very, very close in the end. But looking back, I'm really not sure if the game needed to be that long. Now, there's a very good chance that all of this stuff I'm complaining about is just basic RPG quirks that every game has, and I'm just being a nuisance for complaining because I'm not super familiar with RPGs outside of Pokemon. And yeah, Pokemon has frequent battles with repetitive enemies, but usually every single game has over 150 different kind of enemies you face with hundreds of attack possibilities, all of them which make pretty good sense. Mario RPG, on the other hand, only has about 39 spells and 80 magical attacks, and a lot of them you only maybe see one time, or they're very similar, or just very generic and boring. So many of the attacks I see just kind of leave me like, what did that do? Why did that hurt me? Some of them I don't expect to hurt me, I expect to lower a stat or something, and then I take damage. It's just weird. Of course, I know I had some negative things to say there, but don't get me wrong, there's a ton I love about this game. I still enjoyed my playthrough of it. I just had those criticisms. I'm sure I'll have criticism about other games going forward, but there's a lot of stuff I love. For the most part, especially in boss battles, I did really enjoy the battle system. It just got a bit annoying when it was the same enemies over and over. The battle system works really well when you're in the right fights. Traveling through the world is a lot of fun when you're in the right towns and talking to the right people. The game's a lot of fun in certain moments, it just has those quirks that again may just be basic RPG quirks. But in the end, where this game really shines is not the battle system or the music or the audio, it's the story. So I do highly recommend playing this game for your own on the very first time if you want to. Unfortunately for me, I guess, in this review, I won't be able to cover a lot of what makes this game phenomenal, which is the writing, because it's really hard to do a review of the entire game's written dialogue. So I'll be covering the actual story here. So even if you watch the story part, I still highly recommend playing through this game and just enjoying the world that it builds. If you like stupid, corny humor, I highly recommend it. But without any further delay, let's get to the story. As Mario is leaving the Mushroom Kingdom on his adventure, he meets a very sad tadpole whose tears are actually making it rain. Turns out he's just been robbed something very important of his by Barney the dinosaur. Of course, Mario decides to help out the Ladpole. Get it? Yeah. And we have our very first partner. Luckily, it's pretty easy to track down Dino, beat him up, and take back the coin that he stole from Mallow, so we head back to the Mushroom Kingdom and meet the very first member of the Smithy gang, Mac. Now this is a great chance to tell you guys, I absolutely love the Smithy gang. They have amazing characterization, personality, character design, attacks and battles that you have with them are just so much fun. Definitely one of the highlights of this game is the Smithy gang, and I'm very excited to keep talking about them in the future, but right now we gotta beat up this Big Mac. I had a joke written down that we're gonna whopper this Big Mac, and I just blew it. With Big Mac defeated though, we end up with getting our first star piece. And yes, if it wasn't obvious from the title of this game, one of the things we'll be doing on our journey is collecting 7 star pieces. What did they do? We'll get to that a bit later. Next up though, we head to Tadpole Pond, Mallow's hometown, to meet his grandfather, Frog Fuchsius, who might be able to give us a better idea of what's going on. But guys, I was not expecting what happened when we got there, okay? Because it turns out the biggest bomb of the century went off. Mallow is not a tadpole. I know. Some of you out there are thinking, well, yeah, no kidding. Look at him. That's a tadpole. That's a Mallow. Clearly not the same thing. But for some reason, Mario is so weird, I trusted them, alright? They have weird character design all the time. I didn't even think twice about it when he's like, I'm a tadpole. And I'm like, alright, why not? But yeah, Mallow took this a lot better than I did, considering his entire identity was just crushed, but sure, why not? He's not a tadpole. I don't know what's real anymore. Moving on, my game broke. I don't know what happened here, but these platforms are supposed to be moving, and they're not. And I went in and out of this place like 10 times for like 15 minutes trying to figure out what's going on. I was Googling it, couldn't find anything. So I restarted the game and it worked fine. I don't know if this is because I'm playing on an emulator. It seems like a weird glitch to happen on an emulator basis. Who knows? We find out that Bowser is actually quite sad that his castle's been taken over and he's rounding up the Koopa Troop to get it back. And let me tell you something, I'm rooting for him. I think he can do it. Mario and Mallow reach the next town on our quest, Rose Town, where they find a very small kid who's a very big fan of Mario's. And this confuses me because he has a Mario toy. Is Mario a celebrity in this world? Is he just a normal dude? Is he famous for rescuing Peach? Why the heck does she not have better security by this point? I'm not sure, because none of the stores we go to sell Mario toys. Where did he get it from? Did his mom make it for him? Is this something we can just go down to Target and get? Is there Target in the Mario world? I don't know. I don't know what's going on. They never even elaborate. He's just a famous guy who's also a normal dude. I don't get it. Anyways, he has another toy that he's playing with that he's making Battle Mario, and this toy actually ends up getting possessed in the middle of the night, growing up to human size and disappearing. But there's much bigger trouble afoot, as when we wake up in the morning, all the citizens of Rose Town are being frozen by arrows falling from the sky. Mario and Mallow travel to the forest nearby to try to figure out who's causing this issue and put a stop to it, because I guess Peach will just wait forever. Along the way, we keep hearing about this character named Bowyer, and this whole time I'm thinking like, oh man, this is gonna be some weird like Bowser guy, isn't he? He's gonna be like Bowser, but like pink or something, I don't know, because it's just Bowser, but with a different word, different letter. And I was all excited, and we got there, and it's that dude. What the heck is that? I mean, he's kind of like Bowser if Bowser, you know, was a straw, basically, but man, this guy's crazy. I mean, look at those eyes. It turns out the pun is actually named on bow because he shoots off bow and arrows, and his body actually looks like a bow. I actually just thought it out right now. I'm not very clever. So yes, he's the one shooting off the arrows that are freezing the citizens, and he actually has a very, very fun battle, because throughout the battle, he'll shoot an arrow and freeze a certain button, and then you cannot use that button on your controller until he freezes a different one. This can be really fun, like say he freezes your items, or really annoying if he freezes your attacks. Has its ups and downs. But yes, this is one of those really, really fun boss fights. However, when you reach him, you find out that that puppet is already locked in combat with him. But you join the puppet, defeat the bow guy, and you'll be rewarded with your second star. You find out the possessed puppet's name is actually Gino, from the Star Road, an area high above even the sky. The Star Road is a place where wishes are granted, and it was destroyed by the Sword of the Smithy gang, meaning that no more wishes can be granted. However, if we manage to collect all 7 of these star pieces, Gino can repair the Star Road and everything will go back to normal. So Peach, get out. I got a birthday coming up and my wishes are the only way I'm going to get that pony, alright? So I got a new priority. So the 3 musketeers move on to the next village of Moleville and find out that an underground tunnel there is actually caved in, trapping a bunch of children inside. Why were they in there? I don't know, man. It's so dangerous that like the workers don't want even to go in there, but they're like, hey, Bob, go play in there. I don't want to deal with you till dinner. Yeah. So of course we travel in to save them, beating up Spyro the Dragon along the way, before we run into the world famous Punicello. I gotta tell you, I'm a huge fan of this guy, and he knows it because he is the bomb. Literally, he's a bomb. Unfortunately for him, the gang is here to knock him off his pedestal and remind him that he's really not that special. He doesn't take this too well, as he actually sets off a gigantic bomb on him, and I'm pretty sure I saw this on Game Theory before. In fear that they're going to be murdered to death by this giant bomb, the gang tries to escape, but they don't have time, and the bomb goes off, and they're actually not really that hurt. They're pushed back like 10 feet. MatPat, I'm going to need you to work on that one. And by some weird coincidence, the 3rd star is just hanging there on the wall. So grab it, and yeah, we move on. Oh, and I think we save the kids. I'm not sure. That really doesn't matter if we're being honest. As we continue to stargaze, we once again run into Bowser, who is being very jealous over a castle that's owned by someone named Booster. Poor guy's having it pretty rough, to be honest. I wish there was something we could do for him. Well, turns out Peach is actually being held kidnapped in this castle now that Booster has her instead of Bowser. At first he's fine with it, but then he realizes like, no! Peach is my bitch! Actually, I think she's Mario's bitch. Whose bitch is Peach? Is she her own bitch? We need to run a case study on this. So then I get the biggest accomplishment in my entire life gifted to me. I honestly can't believe this happened. Mario, Mallow, and Gino are honorary members of the Koopa Troop. Bowser agrees to let us help him. I can't believe it. Inside Booster's castle, we get the mandatory 8-bit Mario nostalgia trip. Wait, is this the very first one? This might actually be the very first 8-bit Mario nostalgia thing that Nintendo's done. That's pretty cool, we're taking part in history. And this one's actually not too bad, it's very brief, it's a funny throwback, unlike some other certain games that are published now where it feels just a tad bit forced. All I'm saying, not everyone's nostalgic for 8-bit Mario. Once we reach the top of Booster's tower, who also has a Mario toy? What the heck? Where do I get one of these? We find out that his plan is, of course, to marry Peach, because apparently everybody in the Mushroom Kingdom, in the Mario world, wants to marry Peach, except for Peach. Except for Mario. I can't believe I messed that up. Except for Mario. Peach probably even wants to marry herself. That's probably why she rejects everyone. It's because she's self-sufficient. She's a powerful woman who ain't need no turtle. Although I guess she is the only female human that I know of in this world. Although Mario and Luigi are the only male humans. I guess Wario, Waluigi, Bowser's basically human for furries. Huh. Oh, Daisy! I completely forgot Daisy existed. It's okay, everyone else did too. Anyways, he ends up escaping with Peach, unfortunately, and he leaves you to deal with some of his cronies, Great Guy and Knife Guy. Well, 1, that guy doesn't look too great, and 2, this doesn't seem like a very sharp idea to be juggling knives. I feel like you guys can probably tell when I work very hard on a joke because they're just horrible. I feel like the best jokes I tell on this are the ones that are just impromptu, they come out of nowhere. That one, like I wrote it down, I'm like, oh, this is gonna be a good one, and they're just trash. Anyways, pie face those clowns and head off to Marrymore, yes, really, to stop the ceremony. Now, I want to say it was pretty easy to break in and stop this wedding, but I'm pretty sure this is actually the hardest part of the entire game. Breaking through this gosh darn door. See, you have to sync up your movements with this NPC, and I couldn't for the life of me do it. I legitimately spent over 10 minutes trying to break through this door, but some Mario gods were watching over me, and I got through that door, and oh my fucking god, there's another one. Okay, finally got through both doors, and just to make sure everyone knows we're here to ruin this party, we're gonna crash that cake. Actually, that's a pretty impressive cake. Maybe we shouldn't ruin it. Maybe we should, like, eat it. Looks good. I'm hungry. In the end, no, even after destroying his cake, Booster really doesn't seem that bothered that we ruined his wedding. In fact, he just eats the remains of the cake and heads on out of there. Thankfully, we can get Peach safely back to the Mushroom Kingdom, and she wishes us best of luck on the rest of our adventure. So as we head out to continue our adventure for the next star, we wonder where to go. Just kidding, bitches! Peach is coming with us! Super Princess Peach time, just without all that emotions and crap. Yeah, I know you guys already knew that Peach was going to be in this, but it was still fun. So Frogfucius has let us know that a star has been spotted on a place called Star Hill. Who would have thought? So we head up there and yeah, it's actually just lying there. No boss battles or really anything like that. Did we just get hit with filler? I'm not sure. So yeah, next we head to Seaside Town, where we find out that a star has fallen into the ocean outside of Seaside Town. I'm worried we're just going to walk down there and pick that one up too. But nope, we head down to the ocean and find a crashed pirate ship and start exploring for the star. Now, this part, when I started playing this, I was warned right away, be careful of the pirate ship stuff, because it is a pain. And yeah, I'm not gonna lie, there are a lot of puzzles in this that you have to try to solve to get through it. This is definitely the most annoying dungeon in the entire game. I used game packs. I'm not gonna lie, I did not understand these puzzles. I didn't think a lot of them were designed very well. You're supposed to solve them to get a hint at what the final puzzle is, and none of it made sense in my brain. So I used game packs to get through this. I feel no guilt about that. Should have been designed better. But once we get to the end of the pirate ship, we meet Mr. Jonathan Jones, who has the star and claims that it's his property because it fell into his ocean. That's a pretty good argument. I don't really think there's much we can do about that. Thankfully, Mr. Jones is a pretty gentlemanly fellow and decides to wager it against us in battle. We just barely managed to defeat this weird pirate shark, and being the cool dude he is, hands over the pirate star to us. Pirate star? We just barely managed to defeat the weird pirate shark thing, and being the cool dude he is, he hands over the star, and we're able to go on with our way. Back in Seaside Town, however, we find out that the residents have been kidnapped and being kept inside this locked room, and they were replaced by doppelgangers, and if we don't hand over our star we just got, they're gonna tickle them to death. I'm not gonna lie, list of ways to die? Tickling's probably pretty high on that list. Unfortunately, because we're the good guys, we do hand over the star and are able to get away with it. But that's okay, because newest resident bro Johnny shows up and stops those fools from escaping. Oh man, I knew that guy was a bro. I could tell just looking at him, but we were going to get a bond. It's great. In an unexpected turn of events, however, the Elder Copycat ends up fusing with his minions and turns into the second hardest boss in the game, Yardovic. Did I pronounce that right? Yardovic. Yaridovich is Yardovic? Yaridovic. I don't know. And yeah, he murdered me in like 2 moves. Unfortunately, this is where RPG's famous mechanic comes into play, grinding. But after an hour or so of beating up some moles or geckos, I'm ready to return to the fight, and we do actually just barely manage to get past him. And yes, you will notice I said second toughest boss fight. We'll get to that. But with Yaridovich dead, we're able to get our star back. Thanks, Johnny. And continue our quest to the toughest boss fight in the entire game, Magus Mellix. Now, what annoys me about this is it's not difficult because he does a ton of damage and he has this amazing strategy and he's just, oh, I'm a big tough boss guy. It's a tough fight out of complete bullshit. See, he has the move that can turn your entire party into mushrooms, where the only thing you can do is nothing. You sit there, you restore a tiny bit of health every turn, and the round just keeps going. And your entire party is turned into mushrooms, meaning he just sits there and keeps beating you up. There's nothing you can do about it. One move, you're all mushrooms, and he's just beating you up, and you die. And if you're lucky and you turn back into human because the status effect will wear off, there's a pretty good chance he's going to use that move before you get a chance to actually attack, and then you're just a mushroom again. It's complete bullshit. Now, there is an item you can wear that prevents you from turning into these status effects. Like mushroom, there's another status effect you can turn into, which turns you into a scarecrow. You can be poisoned and put to sleep, stuff like that. However, I had no idea this was coming. Anytime I've been turned into a mushroom in the past, it's usually not that bad. It was just one of my party members. I was able to do something with the rest of them. So I didn't have any of those items. And this just kept going on. No matter how many times I would get so close to finishing it, I would just be turned into a mushroom, and then I couldn't even play the game. I would just have to sit there and wait. I had a video on Twitter when this happened that was over 2 minutes long of me just sitting there not pressing any buttons, just getting beat up. There was nothing I can do. People criticize Sonic games all the time for taking the playability away from the character in a lot of those self-playing sections. This is exactly what that was. It just was not fun. This boss fight was so bad, if I considered replaying this game, this would be one of the first things that came to my mind, being like, do I want to experience this again? And the answer might be no. I don't know if this is enough to ruin the whole game for me as far as replaying it, but it's definitely up there. Honestly, I don't know how I beat him. I eventually did get past this. I think it was pure dumb luck of me just hitting as much as I can, him not turning me into mushrooms or the status effects wearing off fast enough. I honestly don't know what I did. I didn't feel accomplished. I didn't feel like I earned that. I felt lucky. With the stupid flower dead, we travel up to the clouds. In this mysterious cloud city, we end up meeting the prince of this town, a giant bird named Mallow. Well, it turns out there's a bit of a commotion in this city, as the king is actually fallen incredibly sick, and nobody knows what's going on. The gang digs around a bit, and get this, guys, the bird is a fake, and the real prince is our Mallow. Yeah, crazy, right? So this weird girl Valentina, you might remember her from when I made fun of her appearance earlier, is actually plotting to take over the throne because the king is sick, and that's why she has this fake Mallow. But the gang is determined to stop this injustice as we disguise ourselves as trophies to infiltrate the castle. We confront these fakes and oh my gosh, they kicked my butt. Oh, just a second, please. Okay, let's try that again. Alright, that's more like it. These imposters have been thwarted and the royal family is reunited. Turns out the king is a huge fan of Mario, as I continue to question the ideology of whether or not Mario is famous or not, and I'll never get an answer to that. And they let us know that the next star is of course inside a volcano. I don't know what you expect me to do about that. I'm a human. That's a fake tadpole. That's a turtle. I mean, he falls in the lava all the time and he's fine. That's a puppet, alright? He's just like cotton. He's gonna burn up. I don't have the fire flower in this. I don't know what you want me... Wait a minute. Mario uses fireballs in this. How does he use fireballs without the fire flower? How does he use fireballs in Smash without the fire flower? Can he use his other abilities? Can he just turn into a pea-balloon at will? Can he throw ice balls? What is going on here? Is the fire flower a scam? Hold on, guys. I need a moment. So yeah, we travel to a volcano apparently immune to fire and end up battling the Caesar Dragon, who looks very similar to Resident Good Boy Blarg. Unfortunately, we have to murder fake Blarg, turn him into a skeleton, murder the skeleton as well, and then we claim our star. But because the adventure is never quite over, our star has been stolen by the Power Rangers and Optimus Prime. This game's freaking weird, man. But you manage to chase him down, you have to strategize on which order to kill them all because it is actually a pretty difficult battle. And we managed to claim back our 6th and penultimate star. Finally, we're down to 1 star left and there's only one place left to go, Bowser's Castle. Thankfully, there's a flying bus that could take us there. Cause Mario. I don't even actually question those things anymore. Like, they're like, oh, we're in a flying cloud town. Oh, we have a flying bus. Alright, sure, Toads talk here. What? Wait, Toad is a mushroom. Mushrooms talk here. Toad is not an actual toad. Mallow is not an actual tadpole. What else have I been lied to about? This game is just destroying the Mario canon. So Bowser's Keep is thankfully pretty straightforward. There's 6 doors, with each one having a different challenge behind it, ranging from a gauntlet of enemies, a platforming challenge, or a mental challenge. All you gotta do is defeat 4 of those challenges. At the end of each one, you'll get rewarded with a special item, and then you'll be able to continue on. I ended up deciding to go with the 2 gauntlet challenges, which are very, very long. It's like 20 enemies per each one. They're very long. Put on some videos in the background, zone out, you'll get through it just fine. And I decided to go with the mental challenge ones because they were just fun puzzles to complete. Not nearly as bad as the pirate ship, but still made me think about it. I did try the platforming ones. This is not a good platformer game, alright? Mario in 2D, great platformer game. Mario in 3D, good platforming. Mario in 2.5D, not good platforming. I would stay away from those. After completing the door challenges though, we finally encounter the giant sword and lock ourselves into combat, and he also has 2 faces. Seriously, why don't I question these things anymore? If you manage to topple the sword, however, you'll be taken to the final part of the entire game, Smithy's Factory. Throughout our journey through Smithy's factory and the path that leads to it, we'll have a bunch of repeat boss fights. It's kind of a, oh, you're towards the end of a game, better make sure we make you revisit everything. They're fine. They're not as difficult as they were before, or I'm just stronger now, I'm not sure. It's filler. But as the game gets closer and closer to the factory, where this mysterious Smithy mass produces all of his enemies and weapons, we're able to actually stop the directors of the factory and put a stop to its production. So the only thing left to do is challenge the leader of the Smithy gang himself, Smithy. And yeah, he has his first phase, not that difficult. He turns into this weird thing that changes its head a lot. And it's really not that difficult either. I mean, the boss fight did take me over 30 minutes to complete, so it is a long fight. But at no point during that was I ever worried about losing. See, during the later half of the game, Peach is almost indestructible. Almost no attack that ever hit Peach did more than 1 or 2 damage. She can revive teammates every single turn. She can heal up the party all at once. Peach is an indestructible tank, and it just made Mario and Bowser beating him up that much easier. And yeah, you defeat him, you get your 7-star piece, which Geno is able to use to fix the Star Road, and he skadoodles the heck out of there. And let me just tell you something, Mallow wouldn't just do that to you, okay? Mallow found out he was a prince, and he still kept journeying with you. Mallow is a friend. Mallow is a bro. A Smash bro. And the credits roll on our adventure. We check in with all of the characters we met along the way, and that's it. Now, there is a ton of things I didn't cover. For example, you meet Yoshis, there's a ton of cool dialogue and all that. This is just an overview of the story. Most of the experience of this comes from the actual dialogue and the funny writing in the game, something I'd still recommend experiencing yourself. So, what do I think of Super Mario RPG Legend of the 7 Stars? I'm glad I played it, but I wouldn't call it great. The writing and the sense of humor, which as I mentioned I didn't have a great chance to show off in this review, was outstanding. There were so many times where there was these stupid little jokes that made me laugh so much. It was a really good time. It honestly makes me very excited to jump into Paper Mario, because I've heard a lot of the same things about the Paper Mario series, that it has fantastic writing and good jokes and just corny stuff like that. And it probably has a lot more visual humor as well, so I'm very excited to go into that series next. The gameplay side of it though, it was okay. I mean, it was harmless. It didn't do anything bad. I wouldn't necessarily say it did anything good or new or revolutionary though. If you're looking to play a game to have like a really fun time and enjoy yourself and have a good story, yeah, play it. Why not? If you're a big fan of RPGs though, and you want to go on a fun like RPG adventure, build up a strong character, there's so many other games you can play. Mario RPG is about as safe you can get as an RPG, not named Pokemon. But that's pretty much it as I checked this game off my backlog. I'm very happy I played it. It was a really good adventure. The story and the characters I met will stick with me. I honestly don't know if it's something I'll ever go back to re-experience though. Like, it was a good time, but it was like a good one-time thing, if that makes sense. However, if Mallow comes to Smash, I'll play the heck out of him. And yeah, I'll play the heck out of Geno too. I think Geno would be cool. I just think Mallow is better for Smash. And that's going to be a pretty hard pill for some of you to swallow, but if you think about it, you'll know I'm right. But that is going to be all for today, guys. Thank you for being so patient with me waiting for this next video. Let me know your feedback on it down below, especially about the whole non-spoiler story section. I'd be very curious to get your insight on that. Until next time, though, I'm Full Hardy. This is Hardy's Backlog, and I'll see you guys next time. I don't know how to say goodbye in these videos. I just don't know what to do. I can say so many things. I can be generic. I can be like, bye guys. I can be like, until next time. You know, that's a good one. I'm going to stick with that one.